Hello everyone, and welcome to another video. Today's topic, I'm going to focus on sharing some information about some of the common endometriosis symptoms that you could be possibly ignoring or dismissing. So let's jump into it. So if this is your first time ever hearing about endometriosis, let me briefly explain what it is. Endometriosis is a condition that impacts 1 out of 10 women. Furthermore, it is a disorder in which tissue similar to that found on the uterine lining, known as the endometrial tissue, grows outside of the uterus, and it is found attaching itself to organs and structures such as the bowels, kidneys, diaphragm, ovaries, and fallopian tubes. And what happens with this endometrial tissue is it begins to cause irritation and inflammation to become a problem, which thus contributes to an inflammatory cycle that can also cause pain and other complications associated with endometriosis to become a persistent issue for sufferers. So I know firsthand the pain, the confusion, the hurt, the miseducation, the struggles to have medical professionals take your pain and your symptoms serious. I know about it all. I have been through the full gauntlet when it comes to managing endometriosis, trying to get it properly diagnosed, and trying to get it properly treated. So I completely and totally get it. And there is a lot that I have learned during this process, and a lot that I have learned when I've reflected back post-surgery on things that I wish I would have known, or things that I could tell others that are maybe on that diagnostic journey or maybe suspect that they have endometriosis. And I think one of the most important things is that there are some symptoms that we ignore or that we downplay, and whether we're doing that personally or whether it's a medical professional that is ignoring or downplaying, because it works both ways, that can be key indicators that endometriosis is present and it is causing these symptoms to be an issue. So I wanted to share some of these symptoms that I have identified as I looked back in my journey with endometriosis that either I ignored or downplayed, or my medical professionals ignored or downplayed as well. And I'm going to share them with you. So the first symptom that is quite easy to downplay, ignore, or something that is actually easy to normalize within our culture is struggling with painful periods. I'm talking about pain that is so debilitating, it takes you out for 2 to 3 days or possibly more every single month for every single period. That is what I'm talking about. That is not normal, and we should not normalize that pain. We should not make that type of period pain be okay, and we shouldn't try to justify that pain. That is something that I went through personally, especially when I look back at my life when I first started menses. Like from the first time that I was 12 and I had my first period, it was debilitating. It was painful. I could barely function. And it was just explained to me that that was just my lot in life, because my mother had painful periods and so did my grandmother. So then it was just something that I was going to have to deal with. So I struggled with intense, painful cramps. I struggled with nausea. I was unable to eat anything or hold any food down, any water, nothing. I was extremely nauseous. I had severe digestive issues. I had severe diarrhea. Like, I was unable to function. I couldn't go to school. I couldn't do anything but just sleep. Couldn't take medication because the medication either one, did not help, or two, I would vomit it back up. So it put me out for at least a good 24 hours. That was how debilitating my periods were for me. And it was something that I learned from an early age to kind of accept as my quote unquote lot in life, and to not really push back against it. And even when I got older and I would try to have the conversation with my medical professionals and I would ask them, is this truly just normal? I was again basically not discredited, but my frustration and my quality of life and the fact that my pain that I was experiencing was so debilitating was quickly invalidated, and I was just told that my only option was to get on the birth control pill. So there was never any desire to get to the root cause of what was causing my debilitating and painful periods. So if this is something that you are dealing with and that you are struggling with, and you're being told that it's normal, or you feel that this is just what it is to be a woman, we have painful periods, this is my lot in life, I encourage you to not just accept that as the answer, to not just accept birth control as a solution. I highly, highly, highly encourage you to dig a little bit deeper and find a medical professional that will listen to you and will take your pain seriously and get to the root cause of that pain, whether it is endometriosis or it's attributed to some other disorder. Because unfortunately, painful and debilitating periods are not normal, and there are, in majority of cases, a sign that something is wrong, and that is your body communicating with you to tell you something is wrong. So please don't take a painful or debilitating period as normal. Please reject that idea. And if that is a symptom that you are struggling with, do not ignore it. The second symptom that is easy to ignore and it's easy to downplay and to not really think about or consider as being something that is a sign that you may have endometriosis is dealing with recurrent digestive issues. Now, this can present itself in a variety of different forms, and these symptoms can also progress and change as your endometriosis begins to grow and progress and change as well. But digestive issues that are commonly synonymous with endometriosis include bloating, abdominal distension, which is nicknamed or termed endobelly, having issues with constipation, having issues with diarrhea or IBS-like symptoms, having heartburn, acid reflux. A lot of these digestive issues, which are easy to downplay and easy to just play off as, oh, it's because I have a food intolerance or it's because I have a food sensitivity, they actually can be a sign that you may have endometriosis, especially if these digestive issues are happening at specific times during your menstrual cycle, or they are coupled with additional signs and symptoms of endometriosis, such as painful periods. It could be time to investigate that and take a deeper look to see what is actually going on and to get to the root cause of why you're struggling with so much digestive issues. So the third symptom is experiencing a chronic pelvic pain on a recurrent basis. And so this pelvic pain is going to be in addition to having intense pelvic pain or pelvic cramping during your period. Maybe you find yourself experiencing pelvic pain at random times throughout your menstrual cycle, or maybe you find that when it's ovulation or you're about to ovulate or the day of ovulation that you have really bad pelvic pain and pelvic cramping. Or furthermore, it could just be that you experience pelvic pain doing something after doing crunches or after exercising. You may feel some pelvic pain, or you may have a feeling of like pulling or ripping apart within your pelvis. So experiencing this type of ongoing chronic pelvic pain is not normal, and it could be a sign that you have endometriosis, and you should definitely explore that possibility and talk with your doctor about what you're experiencing. Another common symptom that is easily ignored, downplayed, or brushed off is what I like to call these random aches and pains that you really don't know why they're happening, but you just attribute it to something else or just a freak thing that happens with you. And examples of that kind of pain is going to be recurrent lower back pain, abdominal pain, nerve pain, or leg pain. So dealing with sciatica and no good reason or for no known reason, or dealing with lower back pain for no reason, just pain that's happening and you can't really attribute it to a specific event, such as you've injured yourself or you've put too much strain on yourself, or that you're noticing happens at certain times throughout your menstrual cycle. Another symptom that can be easy to ignore or downplay is experiencing painful urination or painful bowel movements that involve sharp, knife-like, shooting, stabbing pains when you are trying to urinate or trying to have a bowel movement. That is not at all normal, and that can indicate an issue with endometriosis. Lastly, if you are experiencing painful intercourse in which there is a deep throbbing and pain, or there is a sharp shooting pins and needles pain that happens during intercourse or that happens after intercourse and can last a few days afterwards, that is definitely a symptom that you're going to want to observe, take note of, and discuss with your doctor. Also, I think a big thing with endometriosis is when you're experiencing abnormal symptoms such as the ones that I just mentioned, is knowing when to seek help. So I'm going to give you 3 actionable steps of when you need to seek help if you find yourself experiencing these symptoms. The first actionable step is if you find that you have one or more of these symptoms and you're experiencing them on a recurrent basis. That's definitely should be a trigger that you need to schedule an appointment with your medical professional to discuss what's going on. Second actionable step is going to be if you are dealing with this pain consistently, and if it is decreasing your quality of life and it is debilitating to the point where you cannot work, you cannot function, you are struggling with your mental and emotional health, you definitely need to speak with your medical professional about what you're going through. And the third and final actionable step should be if you are beginning to notice that your pain is increasing or becoming worse, or you're having additional symptoms arise, or you are noticing that your pain is progressing. So what I mean by this is, maybe let's take me for example. So the symptoms begin to grow in number and my pain began to increase to the point where I was experiencing pain on a daily consistent basis throughout my entire monthly cycle. So before it gets to that case, if you're noticing that this pain is something that's becoming more consistent, or you're beginning to notice that it is changing and you're getting new symptoms, you definitely need to speak with your doctor about what you're experiencing. So knowing when to seek help is important and it's crucial, but also knowing how to advocate for yourself in the doctor's office to get them to take you seriously is a whole other art form. So 3 pieces of advice I have for you that can help you advocate for your health that much better in the treatment room is going to be, number 1, track and monitor your symptoms. So take some time, sit down. If you're realizing right now that, yeah, I have a lot of these symptoms, take your time, sit down, do an inventory, look back at when you can begin to think about when these first symptoms occurred, and from write that down, and from this day forward, track and monitor those symptoms. Additionally, on the tracking and monitoring your symptoms, or what's part of that, is you should also do your own little detective work into your family health history. That means talking to your mother about her menstrual health and her history with periods and so on and so forth, and talking to your siblings, like your sisters, about their menstrual health and what they had to deal with in regards to that. Because it's important, because endometriosis has been found that if your mother or you had a sister that had endometriosis, your risk of having endometriosis is increased. So you definitely want to know and be able to identify if there is a family history of endometriosis within your family, because that is more information that you can share and discuss with your doctor to say, hey, we really need to start going down the diagnostic process and following the steps to identify if endometriosis could be what's causing my symptoms. So that is all for today's video. I hope that you found this information helpful and beneficial. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up and make sure that you subscribe. And I'm going to have all of my social media information on the end screen to come. And until next time, have a wonderful day. Bye.